Hello everyone, this is the Mental Health for Life channel. No matter what kind of illness you have, you will not suddenly get better overnight. You gradually recover over time, taking steps and slowly healing from the damage. Each disease has its own path to recovery, and mental illness is no exception. So what about depression? In the case of depression, there are three major phases, namely the initial, the acute, and the recovery phases. It usually takes about 6 months to a year to recover after treatment begins. The starting point, or the time of onset of the illness, is often unclear. From there, the patient gradually loses energy, entering the initial phase. It is rare for the patient to be able to recognize the disease during this period, so they often push themselves until they reach the acute phase. During the acute phase, the patient feels severe anxiety and depression and is unable to lead a normal life. Most people seek treatment and rest at this point as they become more aware of their illness. After about 1 to 3 months of treatment, the acute phase ends, and the patient enters the recovery phase. This is a period when the patient does not feel bad but lacks energy and concentration, making it hard to function. The patient gradually recovers, and after about 6 months, they can finally return to their normal life. This is when they can resume work. However, this does not mean that the patient is cured. The word remission is used to suggest that the symptoms have disappeared and the patient is stable for the time being. This is because more than half of the patients able to go back to work may relapse within the next year. Therefore, preventive medication is continued after the recovery period. This period is called the stable period or relapse prevention period. In this video, we will explain in more detail the path to recovery from depression, breaking it down into the initial, acute, recovery, and stable phases. 1. The initial phase. This is the period when the patient loses energy and does not recover even with weekends off. They may feel unwell and wonder if it's just tiredness or perhaps laziness. Since they are somehow able to continue working, they might not consider going to a hospital. However, people around them may notice something is wrong, such as a dark expression on their face, irritability, or an increase in mistakes at work. If someone who notices the problem points it out, one may go to a hospital and receive guidance such as lightening their workload or taking a longer rest period, and they may start to improve. However, more often than not, people continue with their lives as they are, and something causes their condition to deteriorate rapidly, and they move into the acute phase. 2. The acute phase. This is the period when the patient becomes aware of the illness with a strong sense of anxiety and depression. In particular, insomnia and loss of appetite are major signs. When they visit the hospital, they're advised to take a leave of absence from work and to take medication. If one has symptoms like insomnia and reduced appetite, recovery is challenging without medication. Some patients refuse to take medication, saying, "I'm afraid to take it." However, the prescribed medication has no major side effects and is by no means addictive like narcotics. Consider yourself lucky if your illness can be cured with just a few pills instead of difficult surgery or rehabilitation. In most cases, antidepressants are prescribed, but unlike painkillers or cold medicines, they don't take effect right away. The effect comes gradually after about 2 weeks. For this reason, anti-anxiety medication or sleeping pills that provide immediate relief from anxiety and insomnia may be prescribed alongside them. To exit the acute phase, it may take about a month for some people, while for those who take longer to find the right medication, it might require up to 3 months. Living a life focused on eating and sleeping is essential for recovery during this period. When sleep and appetite are restored and feelings of anxiety and depression lessen, one has entered the next phase of recovery. Around 10% of people may skip the recovery phase and become too energetic. They may become talkative, move around restlessly throughout the day, shop too much, or get into more fights. This is a manic state. This is not depression, but may suggest the possibility of bipolar disorder. 3. The recovery phase. This is the period when sleep and eating patterns stabilize and you can lead a regular life. One feels less anxious and worried, and their mood is better, but they still cannot work because they lack energy and concentration. A day of overexertion may lead to several days of rest. One's mood varies from day to day, such as feeling irritated on rainy days or feeling down because of a single word from a family member. However, gradually, one's body starts to function better, and progress often resembles taking 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. It is a major sign of recovery when one notices their cluttered room and begins to clean it up. They will also begin to enjoy entertainment such as music and movies, which they may have avoided for a while. On average, the recovery period lasts about 6 months, and the patient can start working only after entering the next or stable phase. During this period of overall improvement, patients often stop taking their medications regularly because they feel better. Stopping antidepressants can lead to a return to the acute phase within weeks. Think of your medications as a lifeline and continue taking them even when you feel better. There is nothing wrong with taking them for a long time. We said that the recovery period is about 6 months, but some people may take longer. Some may stay in the state for years, as recovery is different for each person, so do not rush. The stable period begins when you start to feel more focused and energetic and to feel bored at home. 4. Stabilization and relapse prevention period. This is the time to return to work. However, not everyone can resume work in a completely refreshed state. Many people have no choice but to go back to work due to workplace circumstances or for financial reasons. Data show that in such cases, half of them relapse within a year. In any case, it is advisable to prioritize your well-being by not taking on extra work and avoiding unnecessary socializing. Also, one should continue to visit the hospital for at least 1 year, as medication can prevent relapses. Some people may feel worse if they stop taking medication, even if they have been back to work for more than a year. If you can lead a regular life while taking medication, you can consider yourself recovered from depression. From there, you can slowly reduce the medication without setting a deadline. Although we have introduced the process of recovering from depression, it's common for there not to be clear boundaries between each phase. There are also cases where one phase continues for an extended period. In particular, there are many people who have been in the recovery or stable phase for a long time and have been taking medication for decades. People are not machines, so things don't always go according to theory. Depression can be described as a state where one's life energy has dried up. Even if one is receiving treatment, those with complicated cases of depression may struggle to recharge their emotional energy. This can happen because they're not getting the emotional nourishment they need, leading to a lifestyle that makes them prone to depression. Emotional nourishment consists of daily feelings of security and joy. When you push yourself too hard in a life devoid of such feelings, you end up with an emotional deficiency, and your energy for life dries up as a result. The worst thing one can do is think, I have to recover from my illness and get back to work by a certain time. Such thinking is driven by a sense of obligation and impatience and lacks the joy and peace of mind. By trying to get well as quickly as possible, one may do things that are not good for their well-being. Some may say that there can be no peace of mind or joy while battling with a disease, but try to start by finding even the tiniest bit of comfort and simple pleasures in your daily life. It could be the feeling of security when enjoying a delicious coffee at a cafe, the joy of immersing yourself in a hobby, or the happiness you experience when interacting with a dog. This was the Mental Health for Life channel. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.